2025, January 1st. Margaret Lloyd here with Eternal Shift, New Life. Let's see, we're going to talk today about 11 warning signs you're in a toxic relationship. Wish I had read this many years ago, but I'm reading it now. And I'm going to make sure that I don't get in another toxic relationship. And I'm going to make sure that you don't either. All right? So here we go. Ask anyone in a long-term partnership, and chances are they'll tell you that relationships are hard to work. Misunderstandings, miscommunications happen, boundaries are crossed, arguments ensue. After all, no person's perfect, absolutely, and therefore no pairing is without its pitfalls. But while everyone can make mistakes when interacting with their partners, there are certain unhealthy behaviors that should raise a red flag. Yes, absolutely. And here are 11 warning signs that may signal a relationship has veered into toxic territory. Take note of them as areas to focus on and correct for future interactions, or in some cases as signs that the person or relationship is beyond repair and should be abandoned immediately to avoid further harm. Wish I had, oh boy, do I wish I had found this information years ago. What's the matter, Snickers? Oh. While a small amount of jealousy can be normal and natural, excessive or unfounded jealousy can signal insecurity and deep-seated distrust. Okay, so 11 warning signs that may signal a relationship has veered into toxic territory. As a cornerstone of every healthy relationship, communication is key. Hence, issues in this area can point to stalemates and dissatisfaction ahead. Constant interrupting or talking over the other person, for example, shows a lack of respect, as well as lack of willingness to or ability to listen to someone else's point of view, which in turn makes understanding and empathy impossible. Rash reactions should be replaced with active listening. And I agree with that. And I have a bad habit of not actively listening. And I'm learning how to do that. To avoid a communication breakdown, you can either have the listener repeat back what they heard to avoid any crossed wires or lost in translation moments. A lack of support. In a supportive partnership, you should always feel you have a best friend in your corner, cheering on your successes and commiserating over any disappointments. But in a toxic situation, you may find yourself feeling the opposite. And I did. As if you have a secret saboteur on your side instead. If you're hesitant or afraid to share good news with your other half, perhaps out of fear of his or her reaction, or if you hit a wall of negativity every time you're in a celebration mode, it may be time to look deeper at your relationship's dynamics. A supportive partner stands by your side in times of good and bad. So if that feeling is lacking, it may spell doom over the long term. I saw a lot of that. Whenever I would get a promotion, yeah, my husband would be supportive, but then on the other hand, he would say, yeah, and how long is this one going to last? Never anything positive. Like, wow, you did a great job. Atta girl. You know, I didn't get those. You know, he would I remember when I got the promotion from a just a call taker working at Consumer Pulse to assistant manager, where I would set up focus groups. I expected to get a hallelujah, way to go. Yeah, no, I didn't get any of that. When I got the promotion at Mamsie from a call center rep to customer advocate, I was so excited about that, because I wanted to be able to help people, and that's what that job was all about. Helping people with their claims. If they had a claim issue, they would call me. I would look into it and see if it could be corrected. But I didn't get the accolades for that. No. You know. But boy howdy, when he would get a promotion, it was a big hoopla and a move. At least my promotions didn't cause us to have to move and ruin our children's lives. I did not have good support from him. In fact, I had more jealousy from him and did not realize it at the time. And I think he was truly jealous of my promotions, thinking that, okay, so she's doing so good at her job that she's going to make all this money and leave me. That wouldn't have been the case at the time. I would have, wasn't even a thought in my head when I would get a promotion. Did not think about the money. I thought about what I was going to be doing, how it was going to impact my career. Not necessarily the money. Money would be good, but it was more about what I was doing. I wanted to be sure I was doing everything correctly and supportively for my clients. Excuse me. Jealousy and envy. Yes, I do believe he was jealous. And he showed that when I was late coming home from a Christmas party, thinking I was out messing with guys, which was the furthest thing from my mind. Not anything I was interested in. Because when we got married, it was in sickness and in health. And you don't cheat on each other. We made that pact. Some partners with less than supportive motives harbor a case of envy, which means they want what you have. Absolutely. Jealousy, on the other hand, usually involves a third party, perhaps a coworker, a friend, or even a stranger that the partner feels is getting special attention, which there was none. There was none. When I would talk to him about my work, I talked about everybody. The men, the women, everybody. I didn't give anybody special attention. While a small amount of jealousy can be normal and natural, excessive or unfounded jealousy can signal insecurity and deep-seated distrust. If your partner accuses you of cheating every time you run errands, it'll be difficult, if not impossible, to convince them otherwise, which will likely sow seeds of resentment on both sides of the table. And it definitely did, because I had absolutely no interest of cheating on my husband. None at all. I'd been cheated on enough times, and he'd been cheated on. It wasn't. You would have thought, oh, I stayed up too late last night. Possessiveness and or controlling behavior. Oh, God, yes. Signs of this type of issue can manifest in various ways. Everything from one partner requiring frequent check-ins or monitoring movements via technology to isolating a partner from friends and family. Absolutely. Frequent check-in? Absolutely. If I remember my grandson was born, and I wanted to go see the baby, and Martin couldn't go, thank God, because Tara didn't want him there anyway. But anyway, I went, but every 2 hours I had to stop and call him and let him know I was okay. So, yes, with the end goal of cutting off networks of support to make them more dependent on the significant other. And absolutely I was. I was so dependent on him that it was ridiculous. I hated it. I hated being dependent. Additional examples include telling the partner how to act or dress. Yeah, when we would go out, he would make sure that I dressed appropriately for who he wanted me to be around. Therefore, I didn't go out much, because he always wanted me to go out dressed like a hooker. That was not what I wanted. Requiring permission for basic tasks or snooping through private possessions like a diary. Thank God I never had a diary when I was living with him. He never got a hold of my texts or emails because I kept my phone with me. Ultimately, possessive and controlling partners want to usurp freedom and autonomy, which makes an unsustainable setup for long-term happiness. And it was devastating. I didn't have access to my children. Our youngest left because of his father controlling. 30 years old and he's trying to control, my husband is trying to control a 30-year-old, tell him what he can and cannot do. No, you don't do that. Control yourself. You don't try to control other people. But my husband did. He didn't care how old you were or who you were. Lies and half-truths. Outright lying begs the question, what is the partner trying to hide? Well, I will say he didn't lie a lot. He might whitewash a story, but he didn't lie. But he would try to hide things from me of what he was doing online, what he was trying to set up for me to do. Without these basics, without trust, you can't have a good relationship. I loved him. Don't get me wrong. I loved him. But I did not like him. As a person, I thought he was a terrible person. I should have left him long, long time ago. Without the basics of trust, it's impossible to create a positive and peaceful connection in which both parties feel at ease. Alternatively, half-truths can be just as damaging, eroding trust over the long haul, as a partner tries to control the narrative through means such as minimizing, selective memory, evading, and so on. When a partner says something that later turns out to be untrue or half-truth, suspicion builds and eats away at mutual goodwill. I will have to say that due to his controlling my life, I did lie and tell half-truths. But I felt I had to do that to keep my sanity, because if I didn't, like if he wanted to set something up with another guy, I would make up that I had a doctor's appointment or something else scheduled that time. I would do anything and everything I could to get out of it. Imbalance of power. Anyone in the relationship accurately declare, could anyone in the relationship accurately declare what I say goes? Oh yeah, he did. It's my way or the highway. All the time. When one partner in the relationship seems to have all the say-so, it creates an unhealthy balance that actually harms both parties. One person can get tired of having to make all the decisions, for example, while the other can feel overlooked, unheard, or misrepresented. This ultimately leads to resentment and dissatisfaction for both. Though it's possible to have a slight differential of power among partners, gaping imbalances can point to trouble. Oh yeah, he made all the decisions, all the financial decisions. Not me. He did. Walking on eggshells. Oh God, I hated that. Constantly walking on eggshells. I was the one walking on eggshells. If one partner is often worried about saying or doing something wrong for fear of upsetting the other person or inciting anger or rage, it could be difficult to engage in open and honest discussions. And one person feels like they can't truly be themselves around their partner. And that's the way I was. I could not be myself around my husband. Though it's a good idea to behave in ways that don't intentionally harm or upset the other person, there is an issue when one feels like daily life presents a minefield, never sure if their stepping might set something off or cause an explosion. Absolutely. Never knew if I was going to step on a landmine. I never knew. He never set barriers. So I never knew. Am I crossing a border? I put up borders, which he always knocked them down. But withdrawal of or isolation. This related pair of relationship red flags is another that can be mutually harmful in couples. We always saw his parents. His parents would visit, we would go visit his parents. But mine never did. I get to thinking about all this in our 30 years, and after Bo was born, Betty never visited us. My stepmother Betty used to always visit when we were in Oklahoma. Even in Minnesota. But once we moved to Michigan, she never visited us again. She was the last family to visit me. And that was when Bo was born. And I never visited her because I didn't have the money to do it. I didn't have the ability. I never visited my mother until my mother started having problems. Then I was able to visit. But that was 30 years. That was nearly 30 years of not seeing my mother, not seeing my sister. If this is a go-to strategy for one, it can be difficult or impossible to reach real resolutions after disagreements, meaning they're likely to crop up again, and they did. Meanwhile, stonewalling, shutting down all communication, can be a feature of more troubling tactics, including emotional abuse. Oh, God. Constant. Physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. I got it all. Any of these three behaviors should sound the loudest of alarm bells, inciting the immediate end of a relationship. Abuse tends to worsen, not improve, over time, and can lead to severe consequences like injury or even death. Absolutely. Though the signs of domestic violence and sexual abuse are more well known, emotional abuse includes behaviors like manipulation, verbal abuse, gaslighting, constantly, plus many of the other behaviors on this list, like attempts to control. Even though not physically threatening, these are designed to be damaging to a person's emotional well-being and should be taken very seriously. Number 10, cruelty. This can come in many forms. It can take place in public, such as belittling constantly, shaming constantly, mocking the partner in front of others constantly. Or it may be done privately, such as criticizing, making cutting remarks behind closed doors. Either way, guilty leads to distrust. Cruelty leads to distrust, anger, hurt, and even deeper effects like lowering self-esteem. By the time I got out of this marriage, I had zero self-esteem. A partner who's healthy and supportive should be working to build you up, not tear you down. Making excuses for your partner, constantly. If your other half engages in any of the above behaviors or other harmful actions, did you try to explain them away rather than confront them? Of course. For example, you may say to yourself or others, he's just having a bad day, or she's just drinking too much that night and overreacted. If you find yourself searching for excuses for any appropriate or hurtful behavior, especially if you need to frequently do so, it's time to directly broach concerns that arise rather than avoiding and justifying. That's me. Recognizing the warning signs of a toxic relationship is just the first step. Understanding why your partner acts the way they do, why you put up with bad behavior, or why you sabotage your own relationship is a crucial part of fixing a broken partnership. Mental health problems such as anxiety, depression, ADD and ADHD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or substance abuse can contribute to marital conflict. In couples therapy, sometimes they will do brain imaging that reveals that one or both partners are struggling with underlying brain health issues that impact their ability to have healthy relationships. There we go. So, marital conflict and troubled relationships can't wait. Be sure if you have been in one of these relationships and you notice these signs, please reach out for help. I believe there is a domestic abuse hotline out there. Let me see. There is. And I wish I had known about it. But the phone number for the domestic abuse hotline is 1-800-799-7233. You can call them, you can text them. We need to get this out there. We need to use this hotline. All right? So let's keep it going. Let's take care of each other. Let's help each other. And then we can all be happy. All right? Let's do this. Let's work together to improve ourselves and our world. That's what I want. I want our world to be a happier place. I like smiles. I like smiles. And as you see, I'm going after the Pamela Anderson look. No makeup. No makeup. Why put makeup on? To hide yourself? To be someone else? Or to be you? Be you. Be who you are. Show your beauty. Show your natural beauty. Peace. Love. I'll see you tomorrow.